Hi, everyone, and welcome to another weekend workshop. It sure is great to have you back with us today on this beautiful summer day. Excited to have Heather and Mark joining us today from City of Kingston, and they're going to be talking to us, of course, about fees and permits and all of those fun things that we love to discuss as business owners. You know what, you're in the right place today, and I love the fact that you have taken the time to invest in this hour for your business to get it right, and that's basically what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're doing things the right way. And so thank you so much for joining us. Today's session is going to be an overview, so there's only so much depth we can go into in 1 hour, but of course we're going to provide some contact information for both Mark and Heather. So if you want to follow up with them after this call, you can certainly do this. I hope that you'll think of today's session really as an opportunity to meet a couple of friendly folks at the city to make sure that you have that relationship that begins to develop and that you know who to go to when you have questions about fees and licensing and permits for your business. So why don't you take a moment in the Zoom chat to connect with each other? Just let everyone know where you're from, maybe what your business is, even if you've done it many, many times before. I hope that you will do so today because you just don't know who's in the room and who might be a great networking connection for you and help you to grow your business. So I'll allow you to do that in the Zoom chat. And while you're doing that, I'll take a moment to acknowledge that Queen's University is situated on the ancestral territory of the Anishinaabe and the Haudenosaunee peoples. And here at the Weekend Project, we're thrilled to have been able to serve to date more than 130 Indigenous women entrepreneurs. And if you're ever curious about who our clients are, including our Indigenous owned businesses, I hope that you'll head over to our Instagram account or social media. But Instagram is particularly easy because you can go through all the stories and you can find us at We Can Queens U. Just recently, we posted another Indigenous story about Lisa Isaac, who owns a human resources consulting company. Definitely go to Instagram, check her out. Lisa Byers was also featured in the last week or so. She's a semi-finalist in the National Powwow Pitch Competition. Out of 2,000 applicants, Lisa was chosen. So exciting things are happening among our Indigenous entrepreneurs. I hope that you'll check that out. Thanks so much again for joining us. Those who are just checking into the meeting, it's great to have you. Go ahead and introduce yourselves in the Zoom chat, if you will. That allows us to get to know you and, more importantly, of course, get to know each other. All right, so we only have an hour with Heather and Mark today, and I want to make sure that they get their full time. So I'm going to hand Mark the virtual microphone. Over to you, Mark. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great, thanks, Carrie. Can everyone hear me okay? Just wanted to make sure. Wonderful. And everyone can see the PowerPoint presentation up there. Perfect. All right. Yeah. So again, yeah, thanks, Carrie, for the opportunity to present here. As Carrie mentioned, this is essentially just an introductory conversation, right? So what we wanted to do is take some time to introduce the City of Kingston, some of the various business supports and services and offerings we have, and then talk a little bit about some of the permitting. Kind of in advance of this discussion, I just wanted to explain that essentially what we're trying to do is provide an overview of key considerations, and what we really want you to do as part of this conversation is just, start getting the wheels turning and asking yourself about, does this apply to me, or is this something I should look into? We'll talk a little bit about the business support office specifically, and our goal is kind of to help with that, right? So as those questions start coming up, you can chat with us and we can help you walk through some of the regulatory requirements that may be relevant. Some may be relevant, some may not be relevant, but the intent here is really just to help you explore your options early on and as your business evolves, and so that we can avoid kind of any barriers, right, to your business's growth and success in the long term. So again, just a quick summary of how this hopefully will take shape. It is, a fairly flexible presentation and format, and I realize we do have a full hour, so I'll try and go into detail where relevant, but ultimately we can always revisit this and drill into specific areas that may be more relevant to you, depending on, interest. But what we're going to do is provide a little summary about the Business Support Office specifically, which is the team composed of myself and Tracy Snow. We're here to kind of act as kind of a switchboard to help you get your inquiries around the city. We're going to talk at a high level about municipal regulations, particularly zoning and building permits. Just, again, general information, no specific details, just to get you thinking about what's involved. Heather is going to discuss municipal business licensing because I know that is particularly relevant to many different businesses, and the formatting can change depending on the types of business you're running. So Heather will provide just a little information on what business licensing ensures and kind of how it works. I'll mention a little bit about regional, provincial, and federal regulations. Again, just hoping to get some information out there so you understand kind of what could be involved in your business, and so you're kind of asking yourself the right questions. That in of itself would be its own 2-hour presentation, but I'd rather you connect with those right organizations to hear that yourself. So, and then the final piece, we're going to talk not about business planning, but about some key business planning considerations and great community resources that you should be looking at as your business continues to evolve. I see that we do have Norman and Noor from ECDEV here, so shout out to ECDEV. We'll just kind of mention some of the other community groups we work with too, and then some other business resources, just a little bit of information about some other documents that might be relevant to your work. All right. So quick about us. So Tracy Snow was actually originally going to be attending this presentation due to unforeseen circumstances. She can't make it. She is the manager of rural economic and community development. So she's my supervisor in the business support office. It's the two of us. She oversees a larger portfolio that consists of some specific rural initiatives, food development initiatives, and also the business portfolio. I'm Mark. I'm the business support analyst. So the business support office is kind of where I work. I administer it day to day, and I also help with some of the kind of file management, and I help support business owners and kind of navigate inquiries. And Heather, did you want to just kind of unmute and introduce yourself?
Sure. Hi, everyone. And hi, Carrie. Thanks, Mark. My name is Heather Woodland. I'm the supervisor of policy and licensing with the licensing department, and it's so great to be here.
Right. So the first thing, yes, the business support office. So as I kind of mentioned, it's a specific entity at the City of Kingston. The business support office is intended to be the first point of contact for business owners who are looking to access municipal supports programs and services. It's bolded. I read it line for line because it's kind of our mandate. I like to say we're part kind of concierge, part primary care provider. The intent here is that you can come to us for any questions at any point. We can sit with you. We can discuss your business plans, your needs, help you kind of figure out, what you may need, figure out what's going on here. And then once we hit that point, we can kind of act as the point that where your request may be like kind of diffused here. We could send your inquiry off to the necessary city departments to actually process what you need to get done. We could connect you with community organizations to support you further, that kind of thing, right? And the other thing that's really important with that kind of way of envisioning the office is that these things they're kind of iterative conversations. We really want to emphasize that we're here. We're just a call away. You can always send us an email, give us a call, book a meeting. We're happy to talk about your business plans because they change all the time, and we recognize that, right? It is a free service, so it's a municipally administered team at the city. We offer all of our services are free. They're facilitation services, and we'll get to what that means in a second. And they're intended for businesses at any stage in any sector. So whether you're planning a business 2 years out, or whether you're in a current business and you're looking to scale that up and expand, or even if you're looking to exit your business and are trying to talk about succession planning, we're always here to chat with you, and we can talk about some of the regulatory requirements for what you would need, and then as an output from that, again, direct you to some of the other community organizations that can help ensure that whatever you're trying to do is successful. City staffed and operated, explained that. And then again, the whole thing is kind of a one-stop solution for current and prospective business owners. So we don't mean that we are going to solve your problems, instantaneously in one meeting. However, what we often do is we meet with people who say, honestly, you were just, I thought I needed to talk to the city. You were just the first email I sent. And that's great, because what happens is, again, we can talk and we can help establish a roadmap, right? We can say, okay, so if this is your business plan and this is what you're intending to do, it sounds like what you may be looking to engage with is planning to get this done. And if once you get to this stage, you may be looking at a building permit. These are two different departments. Here are your contacts, but and then while we're at it, let's start you talking about a business license. You may need to get to this point before you apply, but I'm going to loop our business licensing agents in so that they're aware of what you need. And then, I will connect the business owner directly to the subject matter experts, right? And the subject matter experts are kind of proficient in what they do. They're specialists, and they're going to be able to help you best, right? again, so the information on regulation, sometimes it's just fact finding. Sometimes you just want information consolidated. So I can provide kind of a helpful summary of what you're going to be looking at. And then there's the connection piece. So a big part of my job is just staying connected with other organizations and community members in the business support sphere. We oftentimes will, communicate and just, obviously after consulting with a business owner, will refer directly. So that's kind of a big thing here. We're not just going to say, yeah, here's an email or a website, good luck, have fun. We'll actually say, okay, yeah, this is the person I'm working with at this organization. Let me put you in touch via an email. And there's that continuity of care piece, which I guess takes it back to the whole sort of, primary care view, right, of this. So how we support in a little greater detail, this is kind of our value proposition. So it's relationship building. We recognize, just because the way municipal services are administered, that it can be very much on like a ticket by ticket basis. As you have an inquiry, staff are very keen to resolve it and very good at what they do. And then if you have a follow-up inquiry, staff will support you with that again. But we realize that there can sometimes, especially with businesses, be a bigger narrative, right? Your business is a story and it's continuing to evolve and change and things like that. So when you have the business support office, we can help with that. And we take that to internal departments too, right? So we can sometimes fill in the blanks if there are questions that need to be answered. A focused approach for businesses. So we add a business first lens to our supports. So many of the business units support, I should say, internal departments. Many of the internal departments support businesses, and they're specialists in what they do. And what we do is look at the kind of bigger picture as, what is the business journey, right? And so that, everyone together is working to fill in the blanks and provide those services, and we're just an extra layer on top of that. And the other piece is that collaborative element with community partners. So there's a great network. I mean, you're in it right now with the weekend program, right? There's a great network of organizations and teams and different groups in the community that are all filling specific needs in business support. And we just want to, kind of feed into that as an extra element of it, right? All right. So this is the really important slide here. It's how we can and can't help. So, we're a government team, I guess, which means we do have some specific kind of boilerplate style regulations, but we can provide that continuity of care as your business evolves. So, we can be that phone, that email that you will just reach out to update us and, just to run some ideas by us, to chat with us. We're always there. We can help you navigate those municipal services and kind of set out that roadmap. One thing I should flag is that we also support municipal processes by bringing that perspective internally to departments, right? So we're not just sharing the information that departments have with you, but we're also sharing what business units are saying to us with departments, so that they're making sure they have the right information on the processes, how businesses are engaging with the processes and the specific businesses in question. And again, facilitating referrals, right? So really want to emphasize the kind of referral approach to it. We're not just going to pass information around. We're actually going to connect you with people, if that's what you're looking for. The flip side of this is what we can't do. This is very important. We can't interrupt department queues. Unfortunately, speaking with the business support office is not a VIP ticket. These processes exist for a reason. They're very, very effective processes, and they're intended specifically to make sure that, files are managed effectively, that data integrity is maintained, that you're provided with the correct standard of accurate service, right? And, that you get the resolution you want, right? So we're not going to go and start adjusting and moving within that. We can get you up to that point, and then we will leave it. Our approach has always been that we'll hand you off to the specialists, because that's their area of expertise, and they're the best suited to help you with that. Sort of related to this, I have to put it there. We don't break policies, regulations, or legislation, right? Rules are rules. They exist for a reason. We're a government organization. So, we have to adhere to these. And so if you come forward and you flag something that may be, say, a building code issue or a fire code issue, we would have to, that may come up to our building inspectors. And as part of that, they would be obliged to fulfill their duties. This, in my experience, doesn't happen, but it's simply part of that collaborative approach, right? We want to ensure that your business is operating in a safe fashion so that you can manage your liability, and so that we're fulfilling our duties as a city, right? We don't replace processes or partner services. So we have many organizations we work with that fill in a specific business niche. We don't aim to emulate that, right? So, if you need a business license, I will direct you to the licensing agents as efficiently as possible, because they are the best suited to do that for you. Same thing with planning, right? And similarly with our community organizations, right? I work with Norman and Rob Tamblin at Kingston Economic Development, and they provide a lot of business development resources. So that's kind of how that works. And the last piece, which kind of factors into that, is we don't coach or advise businesses. So you can come to me with 2 business ideas, and I can explain what may be required from a regulatory standpoint for business A or B. And with that information, you may be able to make a more informed decision about what's the best option. But I can't tell you between A and B which is the right option or which is the more likely to be successful. We're a government organization. We can't coach or advise. It's as simple as that, really. Last piece kind of for the business support office is our process. Really simple. So you get in touch with us. We will work with you to identify what exactly you need. And then at that point, it's kind of go. We will pass you off to the right department, the right contact to get things moving along for you. All you need to do to contact us is send us an email, businesssupport@cityofkingston.ca. I'll have my email at the end as well, but that's probably the most efficient way to do things. You can give us a call at 613-546-4291, which is the city's corporate number, extension 3000, or you can book online. We have a little booking button. It just preloads my schedule. You can find an hour and you can either meet me in person or via Teams or just do a phone call, whatever, at cityofkingston.ca/business support. I will make a note that we're keen to meet business owners where they are, both, kind of literally and figuratively, right? Like if you have a specific facility and you have questions about, this proposed use for it, or you wanted to ask some questions, I'm happy to go out and have a meeting with you at your facility to talk about right there and, kind of put things in relative terms, right? You don't have to come on down to City Hall all the time. So just want to throw that out there. All right. Now on to the actual kind of tangible municipal pieces. Again, the big caveat I want to add about this is I work with departments that are subject matter experts and specialists. I cannot provide advice on their behalf. I can't really interpret the legislation that they're responsible for interpreting. But what I can do is get you asking yourself questions early and then get you connected with them as quickly and efficiently as possible and make sure that, we start moving things along, right? So this is intended to cover just a kind of a few big blanket issues that we hear a lot about in the business support office so that you're asking yourself the right questions. First piece is municipal zoning. I'm always kind of unsure about how to handle this one because some people are very, very familiar with how land use planning works and how zoning works. And other people, just kind of realize that, it's space and it's how it's used. Zoning is kind of a major consideration when you're talking about businesses because it controls how the land is used in the city. It allocates land usage, basically. The city recently passed its zoning bylaw in 2022. This is a new and consolidated zoning bylaw, which kind of replaces the previous series of zoning bylaws. So it's a newer consolidated version. It has some new interpretations, and it is, by all intents, kind of a streamlined approach to this. It is also, though, still like a huge beast of a document, and we don't really expect business owners to read it cover to cover, obviously, right? So this is kind of where, again, we can come in and help you figure out what you need to do. So yeah, municipal zoning regulates land use within the city. You need to be mindful that your property is zoned to permit the intended use, right? And, basically a big example about this is, can you put a factory right in a residential area? Well, zoning will tell you if you can. Where this applies to you as a business owner is if you're looking at a brick and mortar shop, you need to figure out what that shop is defined as in the zoning bylaw, and then you need to figure out which zones permit that. And again, you don't need to go through, page and after page in the zoning bylaw and try and figure this out for yourself. If you reach out to us, we can connect you with a planner who can actually get the right interpretation for you and the right information you need to move forward. As part of that conversation, they can flag anything else from a land use planning aspect that you may need to factor in. And this is kind of a little more on the peripheral of things you may need to be considering, but it's I think helpful context because Carrie mentioned about like kind of the time scales and investment that's required from business owners for processes, and we can't give you a start and end date for any processes because it depends on so many factors, and we can't give you a price tag usually either because, again, factors. But certain uses may not be permitted in certain areas. And sometimes some uses or some businesses may require an application under the Ontario Planning Act. And that's when you go to planning and you start the whole process. This can look like all sorts of things, and planners are the best people to really advise you on what that looks like. But, some examples are a zoning bylaw amendment, which is changing the zoning for a specific area if it aligns with the uses in the area, or a minor variance. Very technical. Planners are the people that can give you that information, though. What I'm trying to explain is simply just that, if the property isn't zoned correctly, there are various steps that would need to be taken after that. There is a process, so you can apply for it online at cityofkingston.ca/dash. That's how you would submit a development application. If you're not sure about what that entails, though, again, that's when it's a great chance to reach out to our office. We can talk about your business plans, what exactly that entails, and then connect you through with a planner. Because once you're in the planning application pipeline, you're into the process now, and there are various steps that are kind of provincially mandated, as well as kind of municipal guidelines. So that's zoning at a high level. The kind of main thing you want to take away from that is if you're looking at purchasing a commercial property, or if you're looking at starting a business in your home, you want to make sure that it is zoned to permit that business, and we can assist with that.
Mark, can you slide in here with a quick question from the
Sure.
Zoom chat?
Yeah.
Selena's asking, what if you rent a certified kitchen? Would you have to still check to see if it's zoned correctly?
It's a good question. Zoning is zoning, so it's essentially like how the land is laid out. The rental versus purchased aspect of it. If the land is not zoned to permit a kitchen, and the kitchen is the use that's being conducted on there, it's likely that may need to be looked at. If you've already got a property in question, Selena, maybe we can connect about that, and I can get you in touch with an actual planner, because honestly, without an address, we really can't do much. If you give us the address, we'll be able to tell you if it is or is not zoned correctly for that. Property ownership affects a bunch of factors in that. Like the renter wouldn't usually have to go through any planning act processes. It would be the property owner. But if you were renting a property and it didn't permit that use, it could cause problems. Yeah. So, but again, I would rather get that from a planner. So if you do have any questions or concerns, or you're not sure about anything, just drop me an email, and I'll look into that for you anyways. And actually, to be honest, if you send me an email, I'll get you a concise answer to that question. Just whether or not renting or owning actually affects that. Okay. Home occupations. So yeah, under the city's zoning bylaw, home offices are permitted. So that's essentially the use of any home office computer setup to conduct business, as well as home occupations. But there are provisions. So there are limitations on the amount of floor space in your home occupation that you can allocate to the business. So if it's in the main principal dwelling unit there, you are limited on the amount of space that can be for your business, because a portion of it also needs to be for living in. You are limited on the number of employees that are non-residents that can work in that business. There are prohibitions on storage, and certain activities aren't allowed. All right, big italics at the bottom. This is general information. Again, I really want to capture the spirit of this, is just to say, here's some things you should be asking yourself, and here are some considerations. If I'm running a home-based business, am I following the guidelines for it? And again, you don't need to go into the zoning bylaw and confirm all this stuff. Connect with us. We'll put you in touch with a planner who will check the address. If you have a floor plan, that's great, and we can kind of get you some more answers. We kind of come into the conversation at a point when you have a lot of questions, and the whole point is that we may not concisely answer the questions, but we can definitely start answering them as soon as you get in touch with us. That's kind of the goal here with a lot of this stuff. Having said that, this is the actual language from the city's zoning bylaw, page 99, home offices and home occupations. As you can see, it's a little technical. And if you're unsure about if this works for you, or if this is, consistent with what you're planning on doing, again, reach out to us. We can figure it out. Again, if it isn't, you may be required to change, the way your business is set up, but that's something. And again, this would factor into anything like a home kitchen use, for example, or if you were doing some kind of a food production in another room, like a basement that you had refitted specifically for food production or packaging goods. It would also apply to things like, if you're making goods for sale in your house, right? So the things that are not, permitted obviously are the sale and servicing of motor vehicles, recreational vehicles, or motorized equipment, except in specific zones, or cannabis production for commercial use. So that's the zoning piece. Again, very technical, a lot of specific details and information. The big takeaway here is ask yourself, is my property zoned to permit this? And send us an email and we'll figure it out for you. On the building permit end of things, very high level, the Ontario Building Code sets out regulations for how commercial and residential construction and renovation work needs to be done. It is administered by our chief building official, also our director of building services, and we have a bunch of building inspectors. that would go out, they process the permits, and then they do the inspections. There are different requirements for residential and commercial buildings. So if you obtain a commercial space for a commercial use, you are going to have different requirements than if you are just looking to do a renovation in your house. But depending on the work, a permit may be required. Now you see I haven't listed the specific work that requires a permit because the best people to tell you that would be our building clerk or our building inspectors. If you have a plan for what you want to do with your property though, reach out and we can let you know what that looks like. And again, same thing, you can apply online at cityofkingston.ca/dash for building permits. Dash is the city's development and services hub. I don't know if I mentioned that already. It's an online portal that allows you to submit and manage planning and building applications. I just put this out here just because sometimes, people will conduct work without a building permit, and sometimes there's not clarity around who's responsible for that. If you have a contractor or something, and they've assured you that they've obtained the right permits, it doesn't hurt to ask. And it really doesn't hurt to just check with the building inspector and say, here's what we're doing. Do we have all our permits? Are we good? Because ultimately, as the property owner, you'd likely be responsible for ensuring that that's the case. Business licensing. So this is over to you, Heather.
Thanks so much, Mark. Good morning, everyone. Again, my name is Heather Woodland. I'm the Supervisor of Policy and Licensing. Full disclosure, folks, I have worked with the city for many years, but I have been in this role for exactly, and I just realized this morning, 1 month. So it's my 1 month anniversary in the licensing department. I came from culture and heritage, which is a hard right turn into business licensing, but we have such a great team, and I'm not a subject matter expert yet. So I've been reading a lot of bylaws and documents like page 99 that Mark showed. So I'm getting there, but I work with a great team of subject matter experts who can handle all kinds of questions. So thanks again, Mark. I just wanted to get into a little bit of what we do and who we are. So who we are as a team, we are the licensing and enforcement department. So we issue all kinds of municipal licenses in the municipality, and we also enforce on those licenses if needed. Business licensing is a large part of the licenses that we do issue in our department. Why do we license? So municipalities under the Municipal Act were given certain powers to regulate certain businesses, and the purposes of the regulations are very specific. It's for health and safety, nuisance control, and consumer protection. So a big common question we get is, does my business require a license? Which is a very valid question. And depending on the type of business, maybe. That's the best answer I can give, but we license approximately 23 to 24 unique type of businesses, regulated again under those very specific purposes. If anyone has, as Mark said, if anyone has any questions about does my business require a license, I've included that contact information below, and we're really happy to help you, because certain business licenses have certain classes of licenses, have certain subcategories of licensing. So it's not a simple answer, but we certainly can help you with that. What our staff, well, I can also give some examples. I was seeing in the chat so many unique different types of businesses, but food premises is one of them. Other examples are auto repair shops, plumbers, salons, auctioneers, etc. So there are so many different unique types of businesses, but only certain ones require a license. And I just saw a question pop up of how long does this take for a business license? And that's a great question. And I think Mark touched on this a little bit earlier, but it is a great question. It depends. And I don't mean to give that answer again and again, but certain licenses have certain requirements. So that includes inspections from certain agencies, and Mark will get a little bit into some of those agencies later. Some of those are internal departments as well. So it could be that we have to circulate to Kingston Fire and Rescue, the building department for building permits, KFL&A Public Health may need to come inspect. And so those, and I just see a comment pop up, it took approximately 3 months. So yeah, it's depending on different agencies and types of inspections required for those business licenses can take a little bit of time. So it is good to plan ahead and give yourself lots of time. If it's a really cut and dry application, we do it as fast as possible. So we would say it's even hard to put a timeline on that, but we do try to get it through the process as fast as possible for you, and we don't want to hold you up. And our staff we'll help circulate those applications, and we'll make sure that it goes to who it needs to go to. Our staff will also ensure that you're submitting the accurate documents that you need. And again, every 3 months, yes, every application is a little unique for different types of businesses and those unique businesses. So to ask a general question of what I need is very difficult to answer, but again, you can reach out to us anytime and we can explain that. The biggest regulatory body, or I guess document, is our business bylaw. So it governs the way that we issue, renew, receive applications for business licenses. I have been brushing up on my business bylaw for the last month. And I just wanted to give a little plug right now that we are updating and reviewing that business bylaw right now. It's going out to public engagement later this fall and winter, and it will be circulated to our stakeholders and partners, KEDCO included, and of course Mark's team, but also to the public. So I really do welcome you guys to watch this, the city channels, and to provide your input and feedback as business owners or potential business owners. And the business bylaw has been in place for many years, but there's certain businesses that could be reviewed, could be excluded or included based on just the changing of the times. An example of that is an arcade used to be governed for the purposes of nuisance, and an arcade, as we remember, maybe the time where teenagers used to gather and loiter on the streets, and that doesn't exactly exist in its current state as it might have years ago. So we're just taking a look at all those businesses and trying to kind of bring it up to speed to where we are today. And again, I have my contact information here. When you email that address, it goes out to the licensing agents, who are, again, the subject matter experts. They're fantastic. That phone line goes directly to that team, and they can help you guide, just answer even the basic question of, does my business require a license? Reaching out to Mark's team is great. We work really closely with the business support office, and they can also help you with that.
Heather,
So
can I just slide in here the question, just simply that, could you give a few examples? I mean, you might have done this, and I'm sorry if I missed it, but examples of types of businesses that would require, and not, obviously it's not a complete list, but examples in general.
Sure, yeah. So I think I mentioned salons would be street performers, theaters, tobacco sales, gasoline sales, hawkers and peddlers, auctioneers, pawnbrokers, payday loans establishments, billiard tables, amusement establishments. Then some of these, again, are under review: lodging houses, meat and fish sales. So you can kind of see that there's such a wide spectrum of businesses there. I also wanted to make sure that we're saying that the business bylaw is being updated, because what you see in its current state may not exist again. So I think it's really important to revisit the website and contact us if your business plans change, because what we do regulate now might not necessarily be what we regulate. I can't give more information on that until something's in final draft, but I think it's just a watch this space moment for that.
Thanks so much.
Okay, yeah, thanks, Heather. So, I mean, I guess I'm seeing some anecdotes also about experiences with, various municipal processes. And I guess, okay, the first thing is that kind of those comments and that kind of feedback is actually really helpful for us, because again, on the business support side of things, we just want to kind of understand your experiences navigating these processes. But the flip side of that is these departments are extremely proficient and efficient at what they do. That's where I want to just add the continuity of care piece behind the business support office. So in reaching out to us, the idea is you could give us a call and we can just kind of interface with departments to understand as well. Once you're in the licensing process, as an example, they are your best bet. But if you have any questions just on the periphery of that, how is this going to impact X, Y, and Z? You can always just loop us in. The idea here is, and Heather mentioned that she's got tons of experience within the city. It's not just department roles, right? It's actually staff roles that interface at various levels and have understanding and work through different departments. So, Heather's been supporting the portfolio that licensing is within for some time and understands all the players. And it's all about moving towards efficiently supporting businesses. So kind of as mentioned, keep an eye out for some of the things coming forward. I guess the other only piece I'll add to this is, it's never the intent behind the processes, municipal processes, to create extra hurdles or loopholes. It's, approached from a lens of safety and compliance right first. And so, yeah, if you have a situation where, the building inspectors and the fire inspectors need to come in, they have provincially mandated requirements as well that they've got to meet. And the intent here is that, safety is very important, right? We can't always, affect those processes, but what we can help you do is understand where it's at in the process, or what's happening, or why it's going that way, and what you may be able to do to assist with the process, right? So it is a conversation, right? We can't guarantee answers or resolutions all the time, but information exchange is really important, especially when businesses move as fast as they do nowadays, right? Other regulations. This is very high level, and again, it's just intended to get you thinking about things. So KFLNA Public Health, the local public health unit. If you run a food service premises, you are looking to obtain a business license, you will likely need to be inspected by public health. In instances where that may not apply for a municipal business license, you would likely still need public health to review and approve your business. That applies for things like a home-based occupation. It can apply for something even like a food truck or refreshment vehicle, right? We are not public health inspectors. They are not a municipal department, although they are an agency. So my recommendation in this case is connect with them. Again, if you reach out to us with your business plans or with a situation, we can flag this for you and we can connect you with their public health inspection team. But this is just general information for your awareness. If you're running a food service premises, doesn't hurt to ask the public health inspectors. There's a lot of complex policy that goes into public health inspection. We don't comment on it because that's not our area of expertise, but they can tell you everything about, the type of food you're producing, what the risk category would be, how that will affect your ability to set up your kitchen, whether that would be permitted in a home, what kind of kitchen you would be needing to obtain, and if so, the kind of renovations you would need to do. And you can understand how, when you talk to public health, there may be some building code requirements that come out of that. And again, this is why it helps to have a little bit of continuity of care. Ultimately, they have a checklist, which they've asked actually community partners to kind of help share as well. So if you do have any food inquiries, you can always just reach out and I can actually send you a copy of this food premises checklist. It is intended for business owners so that you can understand what you need in order to be, as part of your inspection. If you have a business and you're looking to get set up, they have something called a notice of intent to operate form. It's just a web form. It's fairly lengthy, but it's comprehensive, and you just plug in the information on your business, operations, facility, all that stuff. And that web form actually goes straight to their clerical team, and then you are assigned to the right inspector automatically. So it's an online web form. It doesn't sound like it's, the most responsive thing, but it is actually the best way. And it's the fastest way to get in touch with the public health team, because it allows them to effectively manage the inquiries that are coming through and the people to get in touch with. Right. So they've asked that I put that, present that information to any business owners that are looking to operate in this sphere, because those are the two best ways to kind of get the information across. They do have an email. It's enviro.health@kflaph.ca. That is their general email. If you aren't at the point where you're ready to start your business, where you have a facility, you're in the licensing process, all that stuff, you can send them an email there. However, again, their preference is always to submit the notice of intent form, simply because it's easier to understand where everything is at, right? I think I will say, and Heather, you can step in here. I believe as part of if you require a municipal business license, public health is also at this current state involved in that, right? So the licensing agents will support you with that. This is mostly if you have questions and things like that. I did put the infection control team on there because some non-food related businesses may actually require public health inspection and approval as well. If you're not sure if your business requires public health, you can always reach out to us, give us a summary of your business plan, and we can provide you the contact information. We're not, I should say, kind of withholding all of the contact info and stuff just to kind of centralize things. We just want to avoid any situation where you're inundated with contacts, web addresses, documents, things like that may not relate to your business, right? So, but we can talk about your business plan, figure out what you may need, and take it from there. Business registration. This is just to say that you may have provincial and federal obligations as part of your business planning, either to register your business at the provincial or federal level, depending on how you plan to register your business. And you may also have some tax obligations, right, through the Canada Revenue Agency. Again, this kind of goes into the coaching and advising end of things, which we don't do, right? But these are just things you may want to be aware of. At the end, I will do a plug for ECDEV. They're very good at providing information in this area, but just so you know. And then specific approvals and permits. This is very high level because it depends on all sorts of things, you know, whether you need an X-ray permit for a health clinic, right? Or whether you're looking to sell specific foods inside or out of the province. So, you know, certain businesses or business activities may need a permit. Again, you can connect with us and we can look into it for you. We may not always guarantee the right answer or the perfect contact, but, you know, when you talk to our office, you're actually engaging with, you know, all city staff and all of the collective community resources we may have, and we can help you maybe get some information, right? I will make a note about the AGCO, the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario. If you were looking to obtain any kind of liquor sales permitting or licensing, they would be the organization that you would apply to. You would need to contact them directly. They're a provincial organization, so that's just how they want it to go. And there are, you know, building code and fire code aspects that would feed into most AGCO applications, but if you're looking to do liquor sales, that is the organization you want to reach out to. Again, send me a note and I can send the web information and contact information and how to get into their portal. Health Canada, again, certain industries, certain activities. And I just wanted to also mention the Ontario Ministry of Agricultural, Farming and Rural Affairs. That's more of an agricultural focus, but depending on the farm activities you're undertaking, that kind of stuff, you may need to contact them or you may need approvals from them. So I can't drill into any details on this because that's kind of the point where we sit, discuss your business plans, and then we can start getting you in contact with those organizations and they will be able to tell you what you require, right? We're just flagging things early so that you don't get too far into your business plan and then hit a major roadblock that's going to cause you to double back. And then business planning. So, you know, oftentimes when we discuss meet with a business, you know, it's helpful to have a business plan. This isn't just a document that allows you to, you know, kind of help market your business to investors. But from our standpoint, it's really helpful because when I go to an internal department to ask some questions, I can give this as kind of a concise summary of what you're looking to do. And so it's kind of like, you know, you are getting it directly from you. Having said that, you know, we don't need a business plan to help you, obviously. And, you know, and you give us a business plan. It's not like it's carved in stone. It's just a helpful reference document. There are a lot of community organizations that will help you with various aspects of your business, depending on the sector you're operating in or the needs that you have. But I think the two that really are the most important, I think that I would mention at this call, because they're the organizations I work very closely with, would be Keys, who I assume many people on the call would already be familiar with, but they provide a lot of different support to employers as well as job seekers, of course, but they have a workforce liaison role that is intended to support business owners. And then obviously Kingston Economic Development. And again, we have Norman on the call here, and Rob Tamblin is the other business development manager. So, you know, we work closely. Generally, we try to meet on a monthly basis just to talk about any files that we've referred to each other. This is a great time to mention, I'm not going to refer your file out to anyone unless, you know, I've asked you if you're okay with me doing it, and we'll send it along. You know, Rob and Norman are, and the entire RecDev team, they're really good at the business development thing. They're specialists when it comes to this kind of stuff. So if you have questions about drafting a business plan or funding or grant opportunities, kind of, you know, any business development inquiries, they're the people to go to, and I can just put you directly in touch with them. So that's great. And, you know, it goes both ways, right? So oftentimes if you're already connected with Norman or Rob, you know, you may be sent over my way to get some assistance with regulations, right? And then, you know, ECDEV also has all sorts of programs for business owners. I'm not going to obviously speak to them because ECDEV, you know, administers those programs that would know better what is and is not relevant, but tons of great resources that you can access to help your business succeed. And there's all sorts of cool offerings, honestly. So, you know, reach out to them, obviously, but if you do reach out to me and you've got business development needs, I'll probably suggest that you get in touch with them, and I'm happy to, you know, forward you along if you do. And then we're just kind of entering the final stages of the presentation here, but other information. So council confirmed its strategic priorities this year. And as part of its strategic priorities, there's a number of local food initiatives that have been flagged. Again, just to be honest, we're very early in the strategic planning phase from a staff delivery standpoint, right? So we're, as at my level, I'm not sure what a lot of these initiatives would look like, but there is, interest in, well, as listed, these are directly from the council priorities, and these are some of the initiatives with regards to local food, local agriculture, food security that the city is considering, may be relevant to some of your business initiatives. But it's just information that I would like to share as well. And actually, as part of this, I do want to say that if you're operating in the, local food or agricultural industry or food production, anything like that, Tracy is, again, my manager. She's probably the best person to connect with about this. So if you send me a note, I'm happy to put you in touch with her, because she provides a lot of support to rural communities specifically, and is big into supporting farmers. And actually, if you connect with anyone who's in the agriculture industry, and feel free to pass that along to them as well, because we're really trying to make sure that they're aware. All right, and then municipal fees. I know that many people are going to be interested in timelines. We did touch on the fact that timelines depend on a lot of factors, but can range in the order of several weeks to months. But the other piece is municipal fees, and again, as Heather alluded to, it depends. There are multiple classes of businesses, multiple types of building permits. But what we do have is a fees and charges bylaw, which is updated regularly, and the idea is this lists all of the fees for any municipal service, and it includes business licenses as well as building permit fees and some of the kind of peripheral fees that you may need to consider. If you just go to cityofkingston.ca/bylaws, go to the fees and charges bylaw, you can peruse if you're interested. And again, the licensing agents, once you've applied for your license, can give you a more accurate picture of what you're looking for in an application, and what the fees may be. But they're intended really to walk the line right behind, basically you're not, essentially, when you're looking at municipal fees, we just want to really emphasize here that there's a scalability factor to it that depends on the type of business you're offering. And once you have a good sense of what you're looking at doing, we could probably zero in a little more on what that looks like. And we don't have to get into it on this call, but again, it's one of those, reach out to us, we'll connect you with the licensing agents, or reach out to Heather, and we can take it from there.
Mark, can I slide in a question?
Yep.
All right, so Martha's asking that she had heard that if she submits a business license, it will trigger all the required departments. Is that true, or does she need to connect to each one individually?
Heather, do you want to answer that one, or?
Yeah, depending if your business license has required departments and external agencies, our agents will ensure that your application is circulated to anyone that needs to do that. You don't need to circulate it, but it's good to be made aware of who it's going to, and we'll work with you on that process, but we do the circulation on our end.
Great. And so that's it for the presentation. Again, some technical information, not always relevant to everyone here, but the idea isn't to give you the concrete answers to what is or is not required for your business. It's to get you thinking about what may be required. Some of you may be at a stage where you're already into your business, you're already engaging with the processes, which is fantastic. If you do have questions about that stuff, you have Heather's contact information in mind, as well as on the screen here. And the office contact is businesssupport@cityofkingston.ca. We always ask that anyone, passes that information along. If you're networking with anyone in the business community that's currently engaged with or has questions about municipal services, send them that along. And, if it comes in and it's a quick and easy request, I can direct it straight to the department that'll answer it for you. And if you'd like to chat and talk, we can do that as well. And I guess just, so the one kind of outstanding question, Selena, about zoning, who's responsible for ensuring zoning for a property. If you did want to send me a note, either of the emails is fine, and I'm happy to get you the answer to that as well. You don't need to provide an address for your property, right off the bat, but I can at least get you a confirmation on whether it is the responsibility of the tenant or property owner. Anyways, I think that's it for the presentation on my end of things, but happy to take, I guess, 11, 12 minutes and answer some questions. The only thing I'll say is, try and avoid discussing your specific business situation or needs, just simply because, while anything you share with us is protected under the Freedom of Information and Privacy Protection Act, obviously this is a call that's, recorded and shared as a resource for everybody. So I'm happy to talk at a high level, but if you've got a specific question, just book a meeting and I'm happy to chat with you as early as, next week, right? So.
Thanks, Mark. And we'll head into some questions. Actually, on that note, I will stop recording at this point.